I would like to warmly welcome all those watching the event live online. Please join the conversation on Twitter with the hashtag Aga Khan Center. Our chief guest today is His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. His Highness the Aga Khan will be joined today by our host brother, Prince Amin, his daughter, Princess Zahra, his sons, Prince Rahim, Prince Hussein, and Prince Ali Mohammed, and his daughter-in-law, Princess Salwa. We will also be joined by Lord Ahmed, Minister of State for the Commonwealth and United Nations, as well as by the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. Before they arrive, we will view a short film about the development of the Aga Khan Center. This building has been designed by Maki and Associates, led by Professor Maki. We are very honored to have Professor Maki and Gary Kamamoto from Maki and Associates in Tokyo here with us today. The formal part of the opening ceremony will begin with the arrival of our chief guest, His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, and His Highness, the Aga Khan. The program will begin with a recitation from the Holy Quran. His Highness, the Aga Khan, will make a brief introductory speech, followed by an address by His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. This will be followed by the unveiling of a commemorative plaque marking the official opening of the Aga Khan Center. May I now invite you to watch the film screening.
The opening of the Aga Khan Center is a tangible symbol of His Highness's commitment to the advancement of knowledge through education, and a long-standing interest in architecture and the quality of the built environment. The opening comes during the period in which we are marking the Diamond Jubilee of His Highness's accession as Imam of the Shia Ismaili Muslims. The Ismaili Imams have had a long tradition of championing scholarship dating back to the founding of Al-Azhar University in Cairo over 1,000 years ago.
We've been operating in London for 40 years now, and for some time we've been thinking about having a permanent building of our own, and ideally one that we could design and build from scratch that would have something of our own identity in the architecture. The Aga Khan Center will be a newly permanent home for the Institute of Ismaili Studies, the Aga Khan University's Institute for the Study of Muslim Civilizations, and the UK office of the Aga Khan Foundation. The first time it was suggested to us that we should look at developing a site on this estate, to be honest, I was a bit skeptical because King's Cross had a reputation as not a very nice area, and it really took some brave imagination to see what it could possibly be. In Argent, the developers had a great vision for a mixed-use development that's totally unrecognizable from what it was 10 years ago.
The Aga Khan Center is in the King's Cross development, which is part of the Knowledge Quarter, a 1-mile radius of institutions devoted to the study and exhibition of ideas and information in North London. King's Cross is a very important site for us. In the 19th century, it was a hub of economic activity. It was a place where goods came from across the United Kingdom to go out to the rest of the world. What's important now in the 21st century, we're living in a knowledge economy, and it's a place where institutions are coming together, where ideas are mingling, and we want to be a part of that conversation.
Design architect of this building is Markey and Associates. Professor Markey has amazing ability to work with light and form, and his buildings look very simple, and it's only when you work on them that you realize how complex it is to make something look simple.
The Aga Khan Center is our third project for His Highness and the AKDN. The two others are the delegation building in Ottawa and the Aga Khan Museum in Toronto. In our office, we are calling this the trilogy. And if there's commonality between the three projects, we would say is a certain modernity which responds to the external environment, to the Western world on the outside, but on the inside, there's a very unique ambiance that is created, which is a nod to Islamic culture and design. The Aga Khan Center is carefully planned vertically. There's 10 different levels in the building. It starts at the ground floor with the public realm, and then the stack above has teaching spaces. And the library is in the center of the vertical stack. And on top of that are 4 levels for each of the respective institutions, and then the top floor is a celebratory floor. The unique feature of the Aga Khan Center are the series of 6 gardens, one on every face of the building, which travel from the second level all the way up through the roof. Some very intimate in scale and some that are larger.
The Chahar Bagh garden was requested to be inspired by the Maghreb and Spain. And so we looked at of course, the Alhambra and the Court of Oranges in Cordoba, and we thought, this is a space that does not have a view out. It has very little soil depth. It's on the 9th floor of a building. Perhaps that is our inspiration, is not necessarily the garden of the Alhambra, but the Chamber of the Two Sisters, where a garden is described in poetry. And that became the key to our solution for this project.
There's another very key important feature of this building, which is a little bit more intangible, which is light. And you will see that the building on the exterior has a lot of glass, but the glass is treated with 47% white ceramic frit, and it gives a very important kind of texture and lightness from the outside, but on the inside, the light gets filtered in through the ceramic frit. In Japanese architecture, we still enjoy a sense of craftsmanship, using the latest technology, using modern materials, and that gives the building kind of a unique tactility and a unique scale. Geometric patterning is a very important and key feature of Islamic architecture, and oftentimes in traditional Islamic architecture this was done in carved stone, carved wood, and the pattern appears in different shapes and forms. In all of our 3 projects for His Highness the Aga Khan and the AKDN, we actually designed a pattern specific for that building. And the pattern itself is generated from an octagon, an 8-sided geometry. And by connecting the points, it creates a star. And that motif repeats itself in different shapes and forms on the glass, on the balustrade, in the carpet, in the ceiling.
Mackie and Associates have brought a real ambition to this project, And what they have given us is an incredibly strong concept with all the spaces around the atrium. They've given us beautiful outdoor spaces. They've paid attention to how we wanted to work in quiet spaces. They've given us light everywhere and a myriad of other fantastic details. And what we like to think it's a little bit of Japanese sensibility in London. The project required a huge team of designers, engineers, specialists, and we worked really all very closely together over the last 6 years. It's also been, I think, for the contractor BAM, who we have to be grateful for their incredible efforts in achieving what is an ambitious project of the highest level of quality.
There are 4 kinds of users of the buildings. There are, I think, first and foremost, students at the 2 academic institutions, the faculty and the staff of those institutions, as well as of the Aga Khan Foundation, and the wider public. The Aga Khan Center will be an institution that is open to the public at certain times. There will be 6 Islamic gardens that the public can tour, but at the same time we'll have a very active program of exhibitions, lectures, and other kinds of events where we can interact with the public and they can interact with us.
We cooperate throughout the building between the 3 institutions. We will come closer. There are open spaces where we will meet each other, and I think that will affect both teaching and research in the new building.
The new library will in fact offer a number of new opportunities. For the first time we shall be able to house all of our collections, including our rare collection of manuscripts, in one place. That will really provide a first-time opportunity for us to share these unique resources with scholars worldwide and lay the ground for further progress in the field of Ismaili and Shi'i studies.
The ultimate joy of the architect comes when the building is occupied by its users, and we hope that this will generate a new sense of collaboration and a kind of synergy between the different institutions.
The Aga Khan Center is a gift from His Highness the Aga Khan and the Ismaili community that's been based in the UK for over 40 years, 4 generations. It's a public symbol of our commitment to London, to the UK, and to its connectivity to the wider world of ideas and people that we work with.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our guest will be with us shortly. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of our chief guest, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales and His Highness the Aga Khan. Please be seated. Your Royal Highness, Your Highness, members of His Highness's family, distinguished guests, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this afternoon on this historic occasion. With your permission, we will begin with a recitation from the Holy Quran, Surah An-Nisa, verse 1, by Nibras ad-Dibiyat.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. In the name of Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful. O humankind, be conscious of your Lord who created you from a single soul and created from it its spouse and spread from both numerous men and women. Be conscious of Allah in whose name you question one another, and be mindful of kinship. Indeed, Allah watches well over you.
Your Highness, may I now request you to address our guests.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Your Royal Highness, Lord Ahmad, Foreign Office Minister, Mr. Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London, the leadership of Camden, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. What a pleasure it is to welcome you to this celebration. We celebrate today a beautiful new architectural accomplishment. As we do so, we also honor those who've made this center possible and the values that have inspired their work. Two of those values deserve special mention today: the value of education as a force for cooperation and healing in our world, and the value of architecture as a source of inspiration and illumination. Both of these values, education and architecture, have been significant in the life and work of today's guest of honor, His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. As you know, Prince Charles's commitment to creative education through organizations such as the Prince's Trust and the Prince's School of Traditional Arts has transformed the lives of countless young people from many backgrounds over many years and in many places. Prince Charles has also consistently affirmed the transformative power of architecture, including the rich traditions of Islamic architecture. You may know, for example, that his development of an award-winning Islamic garden at his home in Highgrove. The value of education, of course, is at the heart of this project. We are proud to open here a new home for two important educational institutions associated with the Arkan Development Network and the Ismaili Imamat. One is the Institute for the Study of Muslim Civilizations of the Arkan University. The other is the Institute of Ismaili Studies. The UK offices of the Arkan Foundation will also be located here. These institutions, through their teaching and research, their rich library and archival resources, as well as their tours and public programs, will enrich the lives of the people from the entire world. For those of us who have seen these institutions grow from infancy, it will be a special joy to see them pursue their mission from this beautiful setting. And what a mission it is. One of the central challenges that faces our world today is the challenge of harmonizing many highly diversified voices within an increasingly globalized world. I use the word harmonizing carefully, for our ideal here is not a chorus that sings in unison, but one that blends many distinctive voices into an intelligent, resonant whole. But to do that requires a deep understanding of what makes each voice distinctive. And that is the essential function of the educational endeavors that will make this place their home. The challenge is particularly important in the area of religion. And it has been especially challenging for Islamic-Western relations. For centuries, the Muslim and Western cultures were largely separated geographically, although there have been memorable periods of integration as well on the Iberian Peninsula and in South Asia, among other places. But those were hopeful exceptions to what some of the observers came over time to describe as an inevitable pattern of clashing civilizations. When I came to my role as Imam of the Shia Ismaili Muslim community just 60 years ago, I found it, sorry, the years do go by, just 60 years. I found it impossible to accept the notion of inevitably clashing civilizations. My own early life experiences were in both worlds, and so were those of millions of Muslim peoples. So rather than talk about clashing civilizations, I began to talk again and again, as some of you may recall, about a clash of ignorances. And the assumption behind that phrase was that ignorance could yield to understanding through the power of education. That continuing conviction is what brings me here today. I believe that is what brings all of us here. My strong expectation is that from this new home, our education-oriented institutions will contribute powerfully to building new bridges of understanding across the gulfs of ignorance. As that happens, one important source of inspiration will be the place from which these institutions will be working. And that brings us to the second value, I mentioned earlier, the inspiring power of architecture. The places from which we look out at the world and the places into which we welcome the world can deeply influence how we understand ourselves and our world. And what place could be more ideal for both our educational hopes and our architectural enthusiasms than the place where we meet today, in the heart of London's Knowledge Quarter. King's Cross is one of the central connecting points for a city, which itself has been one of the great connecting points for the entire world. This place has been shaped by many diverse influences, and among them, we now welcome the rich traditions of Islamic architecture. One of those traditions, one that is appreciated by both the Islamic and the British cultures, is the special importance of the garden. We see the garden not merely as an adjunct to other constructions, but as a privileged space upon itself. And that is why I've emphasized, since our role began here in 2010, my own hope that the value of garden spaces should be embraced here. As we perambulate together through these spaces today, I trust that you will share my delight in seeing how that hope has been fulfilled. What we will see as we walk along are not only beautiful buildings, but also a unique series of gardens, courtyards, and terraces, 8 of them in all, across our 2 buildings. Each one of them, moreover, has a distinctive identity. Each one is inspired by a different region of the Islamic Ummah. Taken together, this winding ribbon of special spaces is an eloquent tribute to the rich diversity of the Muslim world. What they will make possible for those who walk these pathways, the people who will live and work here, and public visitors as well, is a wonderful journey of refreshment and discovery. Now, as I mentioned earlier, an extraordinary Islamic garden already exists in this part of the world, the one that Prince Charles created at his own home. But since it is something of a journey to get out to Gloucestershire, we thought we might have a little intelligent saving of people's time by locating something here in London. For now, people who visit the center will visit 8 Islamic gardens right here in the heart of London. As we open this remarkable site, It is a privilege to salute those who have brought us to this moment. I would recognize in particular our fine relationship with the government of this borough, this city, and this country, as well as our rewarding partnership with the people of Argent. We are grateful as well for the talents of Maki and Associates, allies in Morrison, Madison Cox and Nelson Bird Waltz, as well as Rashid Areen and the late Karl Schleininger. I would also like to thank our splendid team of staff and volunteers, including my brother Prince Amin, who have rewarded this project, stewarded this project, excuse me, not rewarded it, not at all, who have stewarded this project to completion. And we especially salute the magnificent generosity of supportive donors from around the world. Finally, as we open this building, I proudly welcome a guest whose commitment to the promise of intercultural education and to the power of architecture resonates ideally with the spirit of this place and this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. Thank you.
Your Highness, Lord Ahmed, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, I need hardly tell you what a very special pleasure it is to be with you this afternoon for the opening of the Aga Khan Centre, and in particular to join you in celebrating the 60th anniversary of His Highness the Aga Khan's succession to the Imamate. Believe it or not, next year it'll be 60 years since I became Prince of Wales, but that's purely incidental. It is, of course, Your Highness, the remarkable leadership you have shown over these past 60 years, which has made a reality of everything we see here today. Above all, it is Your Highness's vision which has enabled the Aga Khan Development Network to grow into an organization of international importance, addressing the development needs across the globe and bridging the boundaries of race and religion with your message of hope, compassion, and pluralism. It is, if I may say so, a matter of particular pride that this center and the international academic institutions to which it is home should be here in London, a great world city, an exemplar of pluralism, and a center of excellence for specialist academic study. Now, I know that Your Highness's objective in the founding of the Institute of Ismaili Studies and the Aga Khan University Institute for the Study of Muslim Civilizations was to foster better understanding of Islam and of Muslim cultures. I have no doubt that this new space will make a very real difference to such a vital mission and will help ensure that future generations gain a better appreciation of the profound intellectual and cultural contributions that Islamic civilizations have made to our world. I share Your Highness's determination that we must tackle the truly dreadful scourge of persecution and intolerance by knowing and understanding each other better and by building bridges between our cultures and societies. It is heartbreaking beyond words to see how ignorance, narrow-mindedness, and irresponsible leadership cause such pain and suffering in our world, something which the Ismaili community knows only too well. Your Highness, the extraordinary work that you have done throughout your lifetime in the service of humanity and in the name of Islam is as remarkable as it is invaluable. For that you are owed the greatest debt of gratitude, and I did just want to take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of us all, if I may. And if I may, I would also just like to say a brief few words about the Ismaili community in this country and the contribution you have made to British society over so many years. I've always had the greatest admiration for the Ismaili community's emphasis on intellectual and cultural exploration as a means of integration, and your determination to discharge your obligations as citizens of this country while maintaining your own special and distinctive traditions. It's clear to me that in holding dear the values of humility, honor, magnanimity, and hospitality, the Ismaili community takes its inspiration from you, Your Highness, and from your extraordinary greatness of soul. In similarly inspiring this center, you have set it on a path to serve the world with great distinction, just as Your Highness has yourself done throughout your remarkable life. My wife and I have been fortunate enough to see just what an inspiration you are to your community when we accompanied you to Altit 12 years ago. And never, ever will we forget that occasion, nor, for that matter, the magnificently shampooed bull yak with which I was presented, and which, very sadly indeed, I was unable to transport back to Highgrove to graze in my Islamic garden. It therefore gives me the greatest pride and pleasure to pay tribute to Your Highness today and to offer you my heartfelt congratulations on your Diamond Jubilee. It is a very great privilege to join you at the opening of this center, which I know means such a great deal to you, and to convey my warmest best wishes for the crucial work that will be done here in the years ahead. Thank you, Your Highness.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. Your Royal Highness, Your Highness, may I invite you back to unveil the commemorative plaque marking the opening of the Aga Khan Center. Sorry. This concludes the formal proceeding of today's ceremony. Please rise for the departure of His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales and His Highness the Aga Khan. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. His Royal Highness, please take your seat. We'll punish him once you're gone.